Welcome to the ports and shipping news from Visakhapatnam.
The container operation has increased 5% in the ports of country during the first half. Container operation rises 5% in Iran's ports based on the data released by Iranian Transport and Urban Development Ministry. According to the mentioned data, 1,342,672 20-foot equivalent units, TEUs, of container goods have been unloaded and loaded in the country's ports in the first 6 months of this year, while the figure was 1,284,604 TEUs in the first 6 months of the previous year. The loading and unloading of goods in the ports of Iran increased by 7% in the first 6 months of the present Iranian calendar year, as compared to the same period of time in the past year. As reported, 81 million tons of commodities were loaded and unloaded in the ports in the first half of the current Iranian year, while the figure was 76 million tons in the first half of the previous year. While Iran is combating the U.S. unilateral sanctions on its economy, the country's ports as the major gates of exports and imports play a significant role in this battle. The Iran's Ports and Maritime Organization has defined a high number of projects to develop and improve the country's ports, as the country aims to double the capacity of its ports in 5 years. Ports and Maritime Organization has put it on the agenda to attract 300 trillion rials, about $600 million, of investment from the private sector in the country's ports by the end of the current Iranian calendar. Over the past few years, the organization has managed to attract nearly $1.7 billion of foreign and domestic investment in the country's ports and maritime sector. Some 620 trillion rials, about $1.24 billion, of domestic investment and $470 million of foreign investment have been attracted in the mentioned sectors. The attraction of this amount of private sector investment is significant compared to the total budget of the government in the sea and port sectors. According to the official, regarding foreign investment, PMO has signed contracts with 5 countries including India, which has so far invested $120 million in the port sector and $250 million in the rail, roads, and infrastructure sectors. Maritime trade increased from 215 million tons to 237 million tons last year, ended on March 19, 2024. In the first quarter of the current year, 60 million tons of maritime trade was recorded, which shows a 10% growth compared to the same period last year, and even a 70% growth was recorded in some parts of the Caspian Sea. Iranian authorities in charge of the country's maritime sector to strengthen logistics and corridor routes, facilitate entering new markets, use smart technologies, strengthen employment, create large and small-scale production units in ports and coastal areas. Thanks for watching.